any music genre of your choice. Reggae, classics, country.
Who say health cannot have vibes? Well, Jolly's Pharmacy is proving you otherwise. With Health Vibes, every Wednesday morning on Q95 from 10 a.m. to 11:30. Health Vibes, education, information, and a bit of humor. Not forgetting lots of vibes. Hosted by Carlton Langdo with co-hosts Jacinta Fagan Defoe and Trudy Christian. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing health and vibes together every Wednesday, so be sure to tune in. Health Vibes every Wednesday on Q95 from 10 a.m. to 11:30. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
I woke up this morning feeling real stink. I had the intentions to call in sick, but I end up in Jolly's Pharmacy. Great and down in the street, Jolly's fix up my immune system. Got me feeling fit and strong, now I'm ready to work and take on any mission. If you see me walking, Jolly's Pharmacy is number one, Jolly's walking. We cater for everyone, Jolly's walking. Boost up your immune system, Jolly's walking. Dominicans, your boy Father Fox. Whenever I'm in town and I'm feeling down, I head to Jolly's Pharmacy. They boost me up real quick. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
What juice we drinking? A better tasting juice, one with so much variety. The perfect cocktail juice, bartender, it's brand for me. So many flavors, so do me a favor. As children in school for the recess. What juice they drinking? We drinking brand. We drinking brand. 100% juice, everybody drinking brand. We drinking brand. We drinking brand. It's healthy and it's pure. That's why we drinking brand. Brand juice, 100% juice. Distributed by Jolly's Pharmacy Limited.
Introducing Jolly's Pharmacy, brand new website, www.jollys.dm. It's your time to jump the line. Shop now at jollys.dm and have your items delivered.
A pleasant good morning to you. You may be wondering where we are, but we are here with you on the big station, QFM Radio. And this morning, it is a beautiful morning here in Dominica. Lovely sunshine. Some people may be saying it is extremely hot. It has been hot, particularly in the evenings. You get home and the house have absorbed all that heat. And when nighttime comes, pressure. And most of us, those who do have air condition right now, we may not be able to put it on because that bill there, that bill there, you have you crying. So I do have at my home, but I have not been able to put it on. I will keep the fan for the time being. But it's been very hot, but it's a beautiful day here. Lovely Caribbean weather. It is a pleasure being here with you this morning for yet another episode of Health Vibes from the brand new Trust the Most Jolly's Pharmacy. And we're excited to be here this morning. Trudy, good morning to you, my co-host. I like the hair. Can I touch it?
Yes,
it's very Afrocentric. You're embracing your naturalness.
To the listeners of Health Vibes, those who are listening via radio, Mr. Langdo is, touching the natural hair that I'm spotting this morning. So just to let you all know what's going on in studio, that's what's going on. Good morning to all our listeners. Of course, good morning, Dominica. It is a pleasure once again, usual on Wednesday, to be bringing, something of
essence and
substance, yes, to the public here on Health
Something
Vibes.
to change you, motivate you, edify you, transform you, and the list goes on.
As usual.
That's what we do most, and we always really happy to kind of network with people who may know better than we do, and kind of give you something fresh, something that you've not maybe heard before or knew before or even read before. At least now you would have known after listening to Health Vibes. But before we actually get into our discussion for today, I just want to remind you of the excitement that is buzzing in the air. And it is July's soon approaching. And when we talk about July each year at Jolly's, it is a significant month for us. It is what, Trudy?
Customer Appreciation Month.
Right.
Yes.
And yes, and so the for a special week in July, that is the third week of July, we are celebrating you. We're celebrating you because you have made us what we are and what we continue to be. And without you, we would have no Jolly's Pharmacy.
That's right.
We could have opened in 1980 and closed in 1982. But here we are in 2022, 40 years and counting, and we are still here with you. We continue to employ your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your niece, your nephew. We continue to work with communities to make these communities a better community. We continue to support many NGOs like the Dominica Cancer Society, the Dominica Dialysis Association, newly formed. We've already forged a great collaboration with them, and the list goes on. And so when you do support the Jolly's brand, you are supporting Dominica. Yes. And so I just want to run through some of the activities to expect this coming Customer Appreciation Week, which is going to be the third week, within the third week of July. So we're having a pet day, and this one is new. And that is a day where the vet will be on site. You'll be able to bring your pet. I don't know if you'll have a snake. I hope that. Well, I'm not a fan of snakes, but your pet. We would prefer maybe a cat, a dog, maybe a goat, a sheep, maybe not a big cow. But we don't want to have everybody scattering or running away because a big cow is on the yard. But we will be having a pet day where the vet will be coming and you'll bring your animal and he will be able to assess it and tell you X, Y, Z and so forth. So that is one. We're having a mega land activity, and that is for the children of Dominica, where we'll be celebrating children, the innocence, purity, love, and care of children. We've been hearing so much about the abuse of children, and this time around, as you know, Jolly's always stand in solidarity with children, and so we'll be having our mega land children, yes, okay, children activities like a party where the children will have face painting competition, bounce castle, and the list goes on. Yes, for children. I'll tell you the date as soon as it becomes available. During that week, you'll also be getting double points during happy hours. We will not tell you we will tell you maybe at what time the happy hours are. We'll be having free shipping. So for all our Dominicans who reside overseas, you may have been shopping already online on jollies.dm. Now, within that week, whatever you would have purchased on that site, it will be shipped to you absolutely free. So there'll be no shipping fee. And so that is great news for those of you who may be looking at buying, indigenous products from Dominica on our sites. I am a little disappointed, I should say, this morning because something that is very dear to me, and I've been advertising so much. People are meeting me on the road and telling me, when is the 5K run? When is the 5K run? I want to be part of it. No, we need you to register. We need you to register, because what happens if you register too late, we will not be able to get the shirts. We need you to register so that we can get your shirt, we can get the people to start printing the shirts. We need to know your shirt size. So the registration fee is open. It is $25 to register, and that will also give you your shirt. It will take care of your security because we'll have the police. We have the Red Cross with us. We've paid them. They will be partnering with us. So an ambulance will be there just in case something were to happen. And so it comes with a cost. And so don't expect to be on the run for absolutely free. We want you to be part and to be uniformed so that everybody knows that you are part and parcel of the run. It's a 5K run which begins at the Canefield Airport to the Bayfront Cruise Ship berth. That is July the 16th. And if you look at it, July the 16th is not so far. So we want to cut off registration by July the 12th. We want to cut off registration by July the 12th so that we know what numbers we're working with and the shirts can begin printing. So please, please, please call the office, visit our office. We also have registration forms online. So you can go onto the jollies.dm page, or you could go onto our Facebook page, and there is a link that would actually make you use your card to register online. So let's say you just can't come to our office, but you can register online, and this is something new that we've just added. So you can visit our website, which is Jollies, JOLLYS.dm, or you want to put the www before that, and it takes you right into that area where you can actually click and register. So if you stop me on the road and tell me, yes, I'm excited that you want to participate on the run, because as I said, the run is for a worthy cause. We're running for mental health disorders, and whatever monies that we will have raised, we'll make donations to 2 NGOs. We're making a donation to the Dominica Dementia Foundation and one to the APU, Acute Psychiatric Unit, because we do have people who reside there that are just basically homeless. And so that's where they reside, and comes with a cost. And so we're trying to assist them as well. We'll be having as well a special cardio jam session. And usually when we do have our customer appreciation, the cardio jam, we always have a band or a bacchanal. And so we will expect to have big music, a party mood, but you will be dancing yourself into shape. I will tell you the date for that. We also have in our preventative health screening, and that is a big clinic that we're going to be having, where we'll be doing all of your preliminary testings, blood pressure, blood sugar, BMI, body fat percentage, body. Did I miss out something? I think we may be offering HbA1c and cholesterol as well. So I'll let you know how that goes. And also we'll be doing bone density testings as well. So it's going to be a very comprehensive health screening that's going to be happening. We've already identified a large space for that. We're using our Jolly's parking lot. It's going to be totally transformed. You will not be in sun. And we
in Roseau?
In Roseau,
okay.
Our parking lot at the back.
Okay.
And so that's where the clinic is going to be held. Again, I will tell you the date for that. We'll be having live entertainment, of course. We'll be having lots and lots of big discounts, special discounts on a variety of products during that week, big deals and steals. And we'll be also partnering with the 2 telecom companies, Digicel and Flow, hopefully, and where you can actually get some giveaways as well from them. So it's a lot of activities that's going to be happening this Customer Appreciation Week, and we will be bringing it to you live at times on Facebook, with MO News as well, and just to make you part and parcel of the company that you have made and developed throughout the 40 years and counting.
Yes, Carlton. So it's Customer Appreciation Week, 3rd week of July. I said month because I knew how many activities were planned. I figured that must be an entire month. But definitely the customers have to get their calendars out. The next time you give, all the details, make sure they write down the dates and the times when you give that information, because there are so many beneficial activities that Jollies has planned for Customer Appreciation Week. I know no part of our population is uncovered. There's something for everybody, even for pets. so definitely, I'm sure the customers will be looking forward to that. Carlton, on Saturday, once again, Jollies with its great innovation and family kind of drive, hosted Daddy Did My Hair at JP Mega, and it was definitely a successful event. The dads did well, combing their daughters' hair. Yes, and it was a fun family event. I know the people who looked on, were very impressed by the fathers and them, stepping up in that way just before Father's Day, which was on Sunday. So, yes.
And I was really happy to know that everybody won.
Yes, everybody won a prize. Everybody won a
really
prize.
Good prizes.
Yes.
The first winner got
$450 gift voucher from Jolly's.
And I was very impressed with him, seeing that it was a baby.
Yes.
Just about maybe a year old, and then he had to try to keep the baby engaged.
Yes.
To really comb the hair, and he really had to, and it was a style that he had not seen before.
Right.
And to do that, making sure that the baby. And eventually, I saw the baby fell asleep.
The baby fell asleep. The excitement was too much. The baby just decided, let me go to sleep. But yes, the Reynolds, Mr. Reynolds, Kevin Reynolds, he won the competition, and his 2-year-old, Carissa Reynolds was who's here.
And he's a young father.
Yes,
I was very impressed.
So it was a nice experience, and it was just showcasing that whole family unity and the importance of fathers. And I really wanted to commend Jolly's for that initiative. It was a good one. It was a good one.
And what fathers can do.
Yes.
If we put to the test, we can do it.
Yes.
And we can do it well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still training. Last year I was the laugh of the tongue trying to comb my daughter's hair. But at the end of the day, my daughter said to me, Dad, you did an awesome job.
And that's what matters.
And she was just excited, whether it was crooked or not. She was satisfied with the job.
That's what matters.
All right. Yes, so it is now 10:32. We've spoken a lot about Jollies. Now we really want to get into our discussion. What we're going to do, we're going to take a break, and then we will introduce our guests. And it is someone that I met. Well, I first time actually meeting in person, but following her on Facebook,
social media,
I really felt very drawn to her energy, her love for Dominica, her enthusiasm for humanity, and just the mere fact that she is focusing so much on life coaching. Mm-hmm. And so this person will basically share with us some amazing things today.
And she's sitting quietly in studio, just, waiting quietly, but we're going to introduce her in just a bit and let the cat out of the bag.
All right. So we'll take a break and then, just stay tuned with us.
Who say health cannot have vibes? Well, Jolly's Pharmacy is proving you otherwise. With Health Vibes, every Wednesday morning on Q95 from 10 a.m. to 11:30. Health Vibes, education, information, and a bit of humor. And not forgetting lots of vibes. Hosted by Carlton Langdo with co-hosts Jacinta Fagan Defo and Trudy Kristen. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing health and vibes together every Wednesday, so be sure to tune in. Health Vibes every Wednesday on Q95 from 10 a.m. to 11:30. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare. What juice we drinking? A better tasting juice, one with so much variety. The perfect cocktail juice, bartender, it's brand for me. So many flavors, so do me a favor. As children in school for the recess, what juice they drinking? We drinking brand, 100% juice, everybody drinking brand. We drinking brand, it's healthy and it's pure, that's why we drinking brand. Brand juice, 100% juice, distributed by Jolly's Pharmacy Limited.
I woke up this morning feeling real stink. I had the intentions to call in sick, but I end up in Jolly's Pharmacy. Great and down King Street, Jolly's fix up my immune system. Got me feeling fit and strong, now I'm ready to work on the on any mission. If you see me walking, Jolly's Pharmacy is number one, Jolly's walking. We cater for everyone, Jolly's walking. Boost up your immune system, Jolly's walking. Yo, Dominica, say what father from books. Whenever I'm in town and I'm feeling down, I head to Jolly's Pharmacy. They boost me up real quick. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in health gear.
So we're back with you this morning, and this morning, I don't know, but the month of June has been a very significant month for us, and it was one that we didn't necessarily plan as host and co-host. But I just recognized that for the entire month of June, we focused a lot on the psychology of
mental
man,
wellness,
mental health, mental wellness, matters relating to our psyche, our emotions. And as June is saying goodbye to us, so to speak, today is even a more significant day because, as I said, we do have a life coach with us who has a PhD in psychology, seems to be focusing a lot on motivating people, capacity building, developing people to be the best version of themselves. Because a lot of times when we do think of psychologists, we think of, I have a problem. I need to speak to somebody. And oftentimes we never look at them as motivators, a catalyst that would sort of, ingenuate that change. And because some of us, we do have talents, we have skills, and we are so easy to corner ourselves when the pressure comes. Because we don't know how to endure or we don't know how to persevere. And she does a lot of that type of work, whether it's to do with exercise, whether it's to do with your goals, whether it's to do with your stories, whether it's to deal with, matters of the home, personal matters as well. And so this morning we have a great Dominican with us, someone that resides overseas but has never forgotten her roots. I think every week she connects with somebody from Dominica, and every week she talks about Dominica. And so we do have the distinct pleasure to invite and to have with us Dr. Simone Mathieu.
Good
Dr.
morning.
Mathieu,
Yes,
good morning.
Good morning, Carlton. Good morning, Trudy, DJ Slim. Good morning to our listeners of Q95 at home and abroad, and everyone who's watching us via the internet on Facebook at Q95 FM Radio. It is a pleasure to be here, Carlton. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And I always think to myself every morning that I wake up that my navel string and my heart will never leave Dominica.
Wow.
So I am Dominican to the bone, and I am absolutely interested in not just connecting us, but in bringing us together. You talk about those goals, not just personal goals, but goals for Dominica. How can we move our country together? What goals can we create for financial independence, for economic opportunities? We see so many of our young people who are just languishing with nothing to do. How can we as a community create goals that move their lives together? So again, I am very happy to be here. Of course, our thoughts and prayers are with Kanisha Etienne as we continue to search for her. And I know, Carlton, you mentioned that you were drawn to me, but I was also drawn to you because I love your passion for mental health.
Thank you.
As you know, I'm a huge fan of this program, Health Vibes with you and Trudy, and I listen just about every week. And I especially like the episodes on mental health because as we can see in our society, there is so much more that needs to be done in this area. So I truly appreciate that you keep the focus on mental health. So it's wonderful to be here on this beautiful day in Dominic, and I look forward to being a part of the program.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yes, Judy?
No, I was just going to tell Dr. Simone, and her name on social media, resonates with that Dominican love that she has,
Yes.
D.A. Rose.
Oh, yes. There's a story behind that because actually when I was growing up, everybody called me Darrows for some strange reason, don't know where the name came from. And then when I joined social media, I didn't particularly want to use my real name. So I thought, hey, Darrows actually spells out D.A. Rose. So I became the Rose from Dominica.
Yes. That's really good. Yeah. But I know that many people do listen to your podcast, your show on social media. I'm not too sure if they know that you're fully qualified, you're a psychologist, but maybe just tell us a little about
your
you.
background.
Yes. So again, born and raised in Dominica, Bathurst to be exact. Been in the field of psychology for about 25 years now. Started way back in 1996 at Midwestern State University. And along the way, you know, my hat was always with Dominica. So I was always thinking, how can we give back? How can I give back to Dominica? And one of the things that I found is that, like you said, many times people think of psychology only when they need help.
Yes.
But they don't, a lot of us don't realize that you can use psychology for your goals. So I know many of us have created goals for ourselves with regards to our education, with regards to our careers, with regards to getting our children through the educational process. But have we ever stopped as a community to think of health goals? What are our health goals? Because think of it, all the other things that we talked about so far, none of that is relevant if we don't have our health.
That's true.
And the other thing I want us to keep in mind as we're having this discussion today is that health does not necessarily equate to that number on the scale.
Yes.
Because so many of us get caught up with wanting to attain that number. And can I just say here for a minute, Carlton, you know, those numbers, that scale, that the graph provides with regards to your height and your weight,
Your
I
BMI,
think that is based on European standards, right? Because I don't think it takes into consideration that people of African descent tend to be
Yes.
a bit heavier.
Yes.
I mean, why were we enslaved? Because we're physically stronger,
Yes.
we're physically bigger than many of the other races. So I think we have to get beyond thinking of health simply in terms of the number on the scale. We have to think of our health in terms of our energy level, our endurance level, our physical strength. Do we have the strength, for example, to make it through the entire day, work, our children, our leisure, without physically becoming exhausted? And of course, we have to take into consideration the other factors that our doctor tells us about. So the indicators, the cholesterol and all the other things. But that is what my focus really has been on. How do we use psychology to achieve all those goals that we've had on the shelf, life goals, our life purpose? And for many of us, that begins with our lifestyle and our health goals.
I wanted to ask you, Dr. Simone, so, you know, in your work, how do you coach people to achieve those goals? Do you do individual coaching? Is it do you do group coaching? What is your method in your work?
Yeah, so primarily right now I'm an associate professor of psychology, so I teach, but anyone who has personal goals, I like to do individual.
Okay.
Because I think so many of us have individual challenges that may not necessarily associate with a group.
Okay.
So I rather have individual consultations and just have folks tell me, well, what are you trying to achieve? Because for many people, it is weight loss. But I think what we also have to think of is changing the vocabulary, right? So as we go along today, the three things I want our audience to keep in mind, we only have to remember 3 M's when we're thinking of health goals. So we have to keep in mind our mindset, because everything starts and ends in the mind. We have to keep in mind our meals and our movement. And what I have found along the way is when I speak about changing our vocabulary, many words have become very burdensome, I find. So when we think of exercise, we might think, oh my God, I have to join the gym. By the way, I've been enjoying the gym. Sorry. I've been enjoying the gym, Carlton, so thank you for the 2-week pass to the Fit University. So we think of this this burden of I have to get dressed, I have to, go sign up for a membership. But if we think of it in terms of just movement, right? Set a goal each day. If you work in an office, how many times can I get up and move? Can I go outside? Dominica is so beautiful. The scenery is so incredible. How many times can I move? So I'm finding a lot that we have to change the vocabulary that we're using internally to get ourselves motivated. So again, the 3 M's, our mindset, our meals, because if, as you would know, it doesn't matter how much you work out. If you're not paying attention to what you're consuming, it makes no difference. And then finally, movement. So that is kind of has been the focus for me in terms of consulting with individuals. And then if you have other goals, then we can also strategize on different aspects on that. But a lot of the information I've put into the book Push Past 10, and that is readily available on Amazon if anyone is looking just for some simple tips, some simple tricks, because it boils down to consistency. How many of us have started that New Year's resolution and then by January, February, I usually give most people till Valentine's Day. But it's about the Push Past 10 is about consistency. How do you remain consistent, and how do you embrace failure as part of the process? And all of this is not just my training, but my own personal experience for about the last 18 years. Because what I realized is failure is just a part of the process. And
That's
we
so
have
important.
to embrace it, because many times we fail so many times. I'm like, oh my God, I'm done. It's too much. This cannot be done. But if we say, you know what, I'm going to keep failing, let's redefine failure, Trudy and Carlton today. Let us think of failure as not success, as not the absence of failure. So again, let's take that again. So success is not the absence of failure. It is the reduction of failure. After 18 years, I'm still failing.
Yes.
Right? But whereas I was failing 1,000 times, as the book says, I might be failing 100 times. But I promise you, there is one day out of the week I'm going to end up binge eating when I shouldn't have. Right? So just a lot of it is redefinition, changing the vocabulary, changing the mindset to lead to success.
I wanted to ask you though, because we began the discussion on one of the key words, and that is goals. And we did say that, you know, it's a cultural thing for us that every January, you know, we begin with a church service. Everybody want to be in church all year's night for the new year, for 12 a.m. for them to say Happy New Year. They were in the sight of, you know, in the presence of God. And then they may have some goals. But what exactly are goals, and what's the relevance of goals? Because a lot of the times we talk about goals, but then we don't align it with a strategy. So what are goals?
So for me, goals is about moving your life forward, because I don't think we were meant to be on this earth to simply wake up, work, and go to sleep, right? I don't think we are meant to be hamsters going around that little wheel over and over again. I think we're meant to be, I don't know, what moves forward, any animal that moves forward. I think we are meant to have direction in our life. I think we are meant to evolve as human beings. And then once we've had that evolution, we are meant to pass it on to the next generation. Because for me, and I'm sure you guys would agree, success is the level, success is how much are we willing to give back in terms of what we've learned. So we spend all this time learning and growing, and then it gets to a point where we need to give back that education. So for me, that defines success. So in terms of goals, I think we naturally as human beings, the same way we physically grow, we naturally as human beings are meant to grow and evolve. And that is where goals come in. Because as I mentioned before, we have goals for education. We start, what age do we go to school here? 4?
From free
preschool. 4. And many of us go all the way up into our 20s. So that is growth. That is a goal. We don't think of it that way. But that is a goal to get through the educational process. Then we decide what career we want to branch out into. And we set a goal. We say, okay, I need this degree. I need this experience, I need this opportunity, and we go for it. So in my mind, goals are what moves us forward. So this is one of the reasons it is so important to have like goals. And then if we take it even a step further, goals are what help us to achieve our purpose. Because we all have a purpose, right? You have a purpose of being an educator, Trudy. You're at the State College. What do you think is your purpose, Trudy? Tell us about it.
That's a deep question. That's a deep question, and I suspect my purpose is beyond the State College at this point.
Yes. So we all have our purpose, and we just need to figure out why were we put on this earth and how can we achieve that. And it is through goals, and it's through setting those goals, and how do you remain consistent, because we all have the plan. We all know what to do, but what do you do when the doubt comes into mind? How do you keep moving forward?
Let me ask you though, Doctor, because many people are listening to you, and I am, this is a very deep show again, and they might say, well, I have goals, but I have so many obstacles and fears and anxieties of, will I do it? Can I do it? Boy, what if I fail again? That word fail.
Failure.
And is this the right time? And there are so many variables bombarding that particular goal. How can someone who is listening, we have many young people who may be listening, people who are working and maybe at the station listening, and they may be thinking, you might be motivating them now to sort of revisit that goal that they once had, but they do have challenges. How do you now get them to persevere or to get through those challenges to attain that goal?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Carlton. So thank you for that. And I think the best way to learn is through example. So that is one of the reasons that I have so many Dominicans on my platform talking about their experience. So we have people who started out exactly where everybody in Dominica started out, without the opportunity. And they've somehow figured out the path to get into where they are. So for me, the best is the experience, sharing the experience of others who have done it before us to show. I had the opportunity to be on Fadina's show on Monday, and I just hope that from my experiences growing up as a child in Dominica, having an alcoholic father, that it was able to I was able to show that coming from where I came from and being able to pave that path, that the other Simones in this world who come from disadvantaged background, and it doesn't have to be an alcoholic parent. So many of us have disadvantages stacked up against us, but coming from any disadvantaged background with the right mindset, and with having that tenacity to say, no matter what, I am not going to give up. Because think about it, we've all achieved a goal before.
True.
We've all achieved. So let us take that experience and apply it to the next goal that we're trying to achieve. Because when we went to school, we had our challenges.
True.
None of us can say we went to school
we all failed
and it was
exam
small. We
along
all
the way.
failed something. Some
True.
of us failed a little bit more,
Yes.
but
Yes.
we all failed along the way.
That's true.
So how did we rebound from that failure to get to the success of our education? So take that formula and apply it. And sometimes we can see so many doors that are closed. So many, you cannot get that visa to go to the US to go to school, right? You cannot get that promotional opportunity. Think outside the box. Yes, you cannot get the visa to go to school, but now there's online learning. You can still get that degree while you're trying to figure out what is next for you, right? The opportunity for the job promotion might not be there, but look at the digital economy, right? E-commerce, where Jollies is doing it very well. Why can't we embrace that? Don't lose sight of the promotion. Keep the energy going there, but think of something else that you can do in the meantime to get you closer to that goal. So I think, to answer your question, the most important is to look at examples around you of people like Mr. Suki, right? Mr. Sheridan Gregoire, right? Who came from humble beginnings and were able to forge ahead. So apply that to your life.
Because I have personally said to in a previous show, maybe a couple of years ago, that if you look at, and Trudy, you would be able to see that too, if you look at many of the movers and shakers in Roseau, most of them don't have a degree.
Yes.
You know, you look at Mr. E.H. Charles and all these people, but then what has kept them in business so long and doing well? And then you have people who came back with a master's degree, whatever it is, started a business and failed.
And I think that leads me to what I wanted to ask Dr. Simone as it relates to setting goals for the individual. A lot of people may set goals based on a societal norm. Or on a societal expectation, or a family expectation, and it's the same for financial goals, educational goals, spiritual goals, and health goals too. You know, you may see, okay, so Carlton is doing this, he's running every morning, and you know he's running how many kilometers, and so this is my goal. I want to be, like Carlton, and the individual and their, specific situation, is not really taken into consideration. So I wanted your comments on that. And it comes kind of from what Carlton is saying about, people may have degrees and not be as adequate in business, maybe, or entrepreneurship as somebody who maybe didn't have one. So what about the individualistic nature of setting goals? I wanted to get your feedback on that.
That is the greatest way to self-sabotage, by looking at others and saying, well, Carlton has this goal, so I have to make it my goal. That goal may not be for you. Maybe you're not meant to be a runner like Carlton, but maybe you can walk 5 miles. Maybe you can dance. Maybe you can play a sport. So I think a lot of it has to come from our own internal needs. And it is so easy to get, I like that you mentioned societal norms, because it's so easy to get caught up in what society wants for you. It's almost like society wants to dictate your goals, right? So you're single, everybody wants to know,
when you get
married. No boyfriend first. So you're single, when you get a boyfriend, you get a boyfriend, when you get married, you have a child, when you're having a second child. Let's say you have 2 girls, you have to try again, you need a boy.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So we have to get to the point where we can block all of that out. Find some time to reflect. Find that quiet time so that you get to know yourself, so that you get to know what path, because there's so many paths out there that we can take, but what path do you as an individual will find fulfilling? Because at the end of the day, it is about you as the individual. Because guess what? You go pursue all these goals that society wants from you, and then you're miserable.
True.
Because it wasn't for you.
Right. I agree.
It wasn't for you. I've known people who've done advanced degrees because that is what their parents were for, and they're miserable because it wasn't for you. But then again, how do you stand up to your parents when they're telling you that is the degree that they're willing to pay for? So a lot of challenges, but I think it's possible.
I want to switch gears a little, and I know or I suspect we have a caller, so let's take this caller.
Sure.
Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling. Good morning, caller. Okay. Good morning, caller.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we can.
Mr. Lando, blessed day to you and your co-host.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And is she the Dr. Simone?
Yes, it is.
Doc, blessed day to you, darling.
Blessed day to you, sir.
I'm listening to the discussion. I tuned in a little late, but a few things there. I want to ask you a question, but just two quick things. Having to do with the perceived expectations of engagement, the same thing, your parents or your friends, the peer pressure, their perception of what you should or should not do. So in that perceived expectations of engagement, then you really have to live like a chameleon, because there are several different expectations from you based on other people's perception. So that creates confusion. And the same thing you said a while ago, how similar is the same when context is not considered and motive is not known? And the question I'm asking after that is, what brings about procrastination, because as I talk about the different contexts, all right, and the motives and everything, because what may have contributed to my procrastinating, it may not be the same contributing to someone else procrastinating. And what does procrastination do in your whole agenda to endeavor, to fulfill, to meet your goals or whatever? It's a little complicated, but I think you're a smart person. You may have understood what I'm saying.
I understand. Very good question.
Thank you, caller. Very good question.
Yes, very good question. So I want to begin with the expectation that the caller mentioned. And I think we have to start with expectation from childhood. So we have to look at our children. Many of us want our children to follow our footsteps, right? So if you're a physician, you want your children to be physician. If you're a business person, you want your children to be business people. But we have to know that each child is different and unique. Each person is different and unique. You may have a child coming from a physician's background, but interested in arts. And that can be a challenge. But it starts in the home. The expectations and the embracing of who we are to lead to that fulfillment that I was talking about starts in the home. Because when we embrace our children and we accept them for who they are, we give them wings to fly. We give them wings to fly. We tell them, I see you, I acknowledge you. And they don't necessarily have to come to us and say, hey, this is what I want to do. Just look at what they enjoy. Look at what brings them passion. My daughter loves to doodle. She likes to draw. She likes to create. She loves to use her hand, right? So we're thinking she's probably moving along the path of wanting to be artistic. She might change her mind in 2 years. You never know. But for now, we want her to embrace who she is. Because think of how many people, Carlton and Trudy, are now in their 30s and their 40s, and they still don't know what they want to be when they grow up.
And I'm sure you see that at the college, because a lot of them,
so you could
even working with us, young people in their 20s working at Jordan's, and you ask them, and they don't know. They did subjects that they have an associate degree in it, and they don't know. They just do it. They just don't even know what they want to do.
And I want to promise you that is because chances are when they were growing up, what they expressed interest in, they were probably told that's not the right path.
That's true.
Right? So they not only did they lose interest in that, they lost interest in everything. So my word of advice here is watch your children. Not just watch your children, expose your children. Expose them to opportunities, expose them to experiences, take them to the museum, take them to the zoo, take them to anything positive and productive, because you want something to stick.
True.
You want something to stick because you want them to grow up to want to be something that can pay their bills, right? And then to go back to what the caller said about procrastination, that is so important. So I'm really happy that he brought up that topic, because we all know that the devil is in the detail when it comes to getting those goals done. And for me, what works best in terms of avoiding procrastination is always beginning the night before. So if you want to have a successful day tomorrow, start with the night before. Do you plan your outfits the night before you go to work? You probably get your gym clothes out the night before you go to work. You probably, meal prep the night before you go to work. So it becomes automatic. It becomes automatic, right? You don't have to wait tomorrow to figure out. And I always say, if you wait until you are hungry to figure out what you're going to eat, it's too late to make a healthy choice. It is too. If you wait until you're hungry to decide what you're going to eat, it is too late to make a healthy choice. So for me, to avoid procrastination, you got to conquer the evening before and make your day as automatic as possible to avoid that procrastination. But very good point, caller. Very good point
about procrastination. Dr. Simone, would you say that there's a level of discipline necessary for this advanced preparation that you just advocated for? Where does discipline come in?
Oh, you are so right. You are so right. As with everything else, discipline plays a very important role. And again, going back to what we've already achieved, because I don't think we make the connections.
I never thought of it that way.
We don't make the connections. We don't look at what we've already achieved. How much discipline did it take for you to get through your education? How many times you stayed up late at night and you didn't want to? But you knew in order to pass that exam the next day, that's what you had to do, right? How many times did you stay up working on a project for work? That's the last thing you wanted to do. People are going out having a good time. You want to go out too. But you know you have that project and it might potentially be put in front of the eyes of the people you're trying to impress at work. So discipline, yes. Now let's take that and apply it to that next goal that you're trying to achieve. So just take everything that you've already done and apply it to that next goal and realize that in the same way, whether it's raising your children and finally getting them out of the house and being proud of the people that they are today, we've already achieved goals. So let us take that formula and apply it to that new goal that we're trying to achieve.
Right.
I wanted to ask you though, in reference to mentorship and capacity building, because that's something that we don't hear much about in the Dominican context, mentorship. In times past, as a boy, I remembered, summertime, your mother would send you by the carpenter to learn a trade, or they would tell you, so-and-so, they would speak to so-and-so because he's a mechanic, and you would get yourself, learning a little mechanic, or, you would get that type of mentorship. Now we don't see much of that. We don't hear much about it. How important it is in the educational process, because even at school, you get to school, and you taught a subject, whether you like it or not, you taught the subject. You're told that you need to have at least 5 CXC subjects for you to make it. But are you really mentored? Because even, as I get older, I recognize that we were never taught financial literacy.
Right.
We were told, go to school, learn, and buy whatever you want. We were never taught to invest. We were never taught to anything like that. And up to now, I think it is still going on in the high schools and so forth. You're not taught. I don't know if it's something that's not part of our culture or whatever. So mentorship is something that's lacking. As a psychologist and as a life coach, I want to talk a little about that, mentorship and capacity building.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Carlton. And I think the good news is Dominica is now a country without borders because we have access to technology. So when we think of mentorship, and I'm happy you brought that up because that is one of the things I want to do with Roots Connections on Q, right? Where we take the expertise of Dominicans overseas and here, and we bring it to the table on a particular topic. But I think we can take it even one step further and have an organized mentorship program where so many people have invested so many years in their education and in their experience, and they're ready to give back. They're ready to say to our young people, here is what I went through. Here is also what I wish I knew back then that would have helped me so much better. So I think the time is right now for the opportunities that you talk about, because I think many times we think of only who's on the ground and who's available, but now it is time to think beyond who is on the ground and who is available, because not only can we mentor our young people remotely, there are job opportunities that many of our young people can now make themselves available for using technology. So I think we've started a conversation, and I love that we're having conversations about this, but I think the next step is how do we pull all this human capital together, the social capital that we need for the benefit of young people and everyone in Dominica. So when we think mentorship, I want us to think beyond just who is available on the ground to who is available worldwide to be able to coach and mentor our young people in terms of the careers that they could pursue even remotely at this point. Right, so too many of us focus on getting out of Dominica, getting out of Dominica, whereas we can remain in Dominica if that is what the plan is for our life, and still be able to benefit from everything that is outside of Dominica.
Dr. Simone, on this same mentorship point, of course, we know the benefit of mentorship for the mentee. What happens a lot of times, particularly in my work experience, is that you have difficulty convincing people to mentor. You have difficulty getting people to understand, what benefit is it to them to give that kind of sacrifice of their time, to help out a younger person or to help out a group of young people. I see it all the time. As I wanted you to speak specifically to the, maybe the psychological benefit to the mentor. What is in it for them? Because some people, honestly, just don't see it. They don't see it. I mean, so we're talking about, it's not just who is available on the ground, but sometimes people on the ground who may, very well be available, but they're not willing. So how do we, go past that?
Yeah, well, I think the easy answer is don't include them, because the person is not going to be inspired to do a good job, right? If you're feeling like you're being forced into something, chances are you're not going to give it your best. And you want in a mentor somebody who's enthusiastic, has the energy, is willing to work with young people. So I would say if they're not interested, I wouldn't include them, because that is not the energy. Can you imagine, you're mentoring a child and like, well, you know what I mean? Like no energy, no life. How am I supposed to get excited about your career path if you're not even excited about your career path?
You see what happens though is that there's so few people. And that is why what you're speaking about, broadening our horizons, going beyond our borders, because now we don't have borders, with the technological advancements that we have. What happens though is because of the limited capacity maybe in certain career areas, you tend to approach people because they are the one or two who offer that particular skill set. And as you said, if they're not enthusiastic about it, then they're not going to make a good mentor.
Right. And then the other thing is I'm gathering this great resource of people, of Dominicans who are willing and ready to help. So I would love to partner with the State College to see how we can get those who want to help to be a part of the process. Because think of Zoom, right? Put it up on a big screen and you're literally sitting there. You're literally sitting there with the person as if you're in the same location. So, let's partner on that and see how we can bring some people in from overseas.
Let's take this caller. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, Mr. Lando, and your co-host.
Good morning.
To one of my favorite and most respected media personality.
Oh, thank you.
Let me say that that's a very good topic.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I don't think those topics filter down to the people who want to meet, which are young people. So some way, somehow, we have to find a way to get to them. But I just want to share my little experience because I got involved, interested in agriculture by the extension officer then in the 60s, visiting my parents, to help them on the farm. And I can remember my daddy was going to plant new varieties of cocoa. And when the extension officer came and he brought the cocoa plants from Trinidad and showed them how to do, I was right there. And I just got hooked on agriculture. And after 40 years, I'm still there. I'm still enjoying it.
Good.
But one of the, I think, limitations is that if you do not know where you're going, it's any road will take you there. You're not saying. In Dominica, I think what limitation is, as we fail to expand and modernize industries, then there are less road for young people. Because things like agriculture, they have, hundreds of now new professions in the last 20, 30 years. In data processing, in GIS, so many new professions that can develop from it. But if you don't develop the industry, then young people cannot dream of contributing. And that is one of the limitations, that we need to open roads that our young people can dream. Thank you and good morning.
Yes. Thank you for the call. Thank you.
Very good point.
Yes, and I like the point that he made about it filtering down to young people, because we have to be able to reach our young people. So what are the avenues? You know, DJ Slim might like his cell phone. So how can we reach young people like DJ Slim via their cell phone? Because I think we spend too much time criticizing our young people. I really think we do. We spend way too much time criticizing our young people instead of figuring out what is engaging them. How can we use what is already engaging them to engage them in a positive way? So again, changing the mindset, changing the way we look at things, I think that is an opportunity to engage our young people. From what they tell me, they're not on Facebook, because that's where we are.
Exactly. I was about to mention that. Like, those of us at this age and beyond think that young people are still on Facebook. They're not.
They're on TikTok.
They're not.
Instagram.
They're not. And I find the easiest way to engage with young people is sometimes just to shut up. Because we talk too much as adults. We really do. We always want to give advice. We always want to tell them what to do. Maybe we should just listen and see what comes out. Go on a drive and say nothing. And see what comes out of their mouth, because they will tell you who they are, and they will tell you what their interests are without you trying to advise them. So very good point, caller. Thank you for calling.
What we're going to do, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back as we discuss life coaching this morning.
Who say health cannot have vibes? Well, Jolly's Pharmacy is proving you otherwise. With Health Vibes, every Wednesday morning on Q95 from 10 a.m. to 11:30. Health Vibes, education, information, and a bit of humor. And not forgetting lots of vibes. Hosted by Carlton Langdo with co-hosts Jacinta Fagan Defo and Trudy Kristen. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing health and vibes together every Wednesday, so be sure to tune in. Health Vibes every Wednesday on Q95 from 10 a.m. to 11:30. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
I woke up this morning feeling real stink. I had the intentions to call in sick, but I end up in Jolly's Pharmacy. Great and down King Street, Jolly's fix up my immune system. Got me feeling fit and strong, now I'm ready to work and take on any mission. If you see me walking, Jolly's Pharmacy is number one. Jolly's walking. We cater for everyone. Jolly's walking. Boost up your immune system. Jolly's walking. Yo, Dominic is the boy Father Fox. Whenever I'm in town and I'm feeling down, I head to Jolly's Pharmacy. They boost me up real quick. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
So we're back with Dr. Mathieu, clinical psychologist and associate professor. And yes, and I mean, honestly, I feel like I am in a psychology session for real. But even listening to you, doctor, I couldn't help but sort of chronicled my own path. And I know most people who do know me in Dominica, I mean, it's something that I've heard time and time and time again. Why you're not a doctor? Why you're not a doctor? You're such a great pharmacist. Why you're not a doctor? And I remember getting a scholarship in 1998 to do medicine in Cuba, and I turned down that scholarship. And my pal rep at the time wasn't happy that I did. Yes, I like medicine, but people who know me very well are more passionate about public health.
Yeah.
The social side of medicine, rather than actually saying next and doing the clinical work and so forth. And it's all about, identifying with your strength. Now that I am doing a master's program, I actually found a program that really shows what I want to do, and that is just as you're doing, life coach.
Oh, nice.
And when I found that program, I was like, yes,
that's it.
I finally find a program that really complements my talents, my natural talents, my skills, and my passion. And listening to you, that is something to, whether it's in academia, whether it's a natural talent that you may have or skill that you have, how do you know innately get that connection and recognize this is really who you are and what you should be doing? And how can you use that skill and talent that you have to make a difference in the world? So I see we have a call, and then we could discuss that a little.
This is Mark with an important message about your...
Okay, yes.
Yeah, and I think what we have to realize too, because I talked about this before, we evolve, right? So we may start on one career path, and as you're now realizing, as you're growing, you're evolving, you realize that there are other things that you want to do. Because I think back in the day, many of our parents had one job, they stayed there for 30 years,
their whole life.
they got their pension, and that was that.
True.
End of story. But now we live in such a dynamic world.
It's a good point.
We live in such a dynamic. There is so much opportunity out there that we're now no longer restricted. We some people might still want their pension, but there's so many other options to invest in your future that is not going to lock you into one particular career. So I think it is very important to spend time getting to know yourself, right? There's so much noise out in the world, so much noise, but find that quiet time where it is just you, no children, no work, no anything else, no cell phones, nothing, and you just spend that time and you reflect on who am I at my core, what interests me, what are my passions, and most importantly, what contribution can I give to this world, right? Because at the end of the day, at least for me, I don't think our success should be measured by the amount of stuff we accumulate in life. The nice house is nice, the nice car is nice, the nice clothes is nice. I'm not taking that away from any of us, right? But what will be our contribution when that final curtain is pulled down, and hopefully we all get to lay on our dying beds, we're not suddenly snatched from this world, and we will have an opportunity to think, wow, did I really impact anyone's life? Did I simply show up on the earth, consumed what I consumed, and that was it? Or did I have an opportunity to leave something, a legacy? We always talk about a legacy. But when we talk about a legacy, we may talk about financial legacy, but the people legacy. What is that people legacy that we left behind so that somebody else can grab onto? So it's about spending time reflecting on who we are and realizing that we are no longer confined to just one job, one opportunity. We have now the opportunity to be able to spread your wings like you're doing, Carlton, and congratulations
Thank you.
on that new master's program. But again, continuing to grow, continuing to evolve, and continuing to make a contribution for the betterment of mankind.
Because I look at Oprah Winfrey, for example.
I'm a big fan.
Started as a journalist, junior journalist, and became a billionaire for talk. Good talk. That the entire world listens to her, and whatever she says, people take the advice of it. And if you look at her legacy too, she made a lot of people, became stars. Yes, Dr. Oz and
Oz.
Right. So you see that, but you recognize it was her calling, her true talent. Because even in schools, we still find teachers say, "Oh, shut up your mouth! You're just talking," and that child, that may be the gift,
talent,
the talent. So how do you curtail that natural raw talent that this child may have, and guide it? Because truly, for example, you're a big debating coach here in Dominica, and somebody might say many of your debaters may have aspirations to become politicians and so forth. Can you imagine if they were not expressive?
Right.
They were not given the opportunity to express themselves.
And that leads me to something I wanted to share. I read something recently, and it really resonated with me, and I wanted to speak to Dr. Simone too about that and about support. So it read that if somebody or if a child is bad at math but good at tennis, the tendency would be to get the child a math tutor. But what you should do is get the child a tennis coach, meaning to enhance what they are good at, you know, instead of trying to remedy what you perceive to be something they are poor at. Yes. And I read that and I was like, oh, so then it leads me to ask you about, you know, this support and people kind of supporting young people and even people of, you know, older ages, supporting them in finding their true passion, and like what Carlton was saying, you know, their true calling or what energizes them. The role of the support, I wanted to speak to you about that.
Good point. Very good point. But I think support is kind of tricky because on one hand, we need the support, the guidance, the direction. But I have often found as well that many times when we're pursuing goals, it has to be a personal thing.
It has to be
internal. So you don't have to share every little detail on social media.
Okay.
You don't have to share every little meal you eat on social media. Because guess what? When you go quiet on social media, we know you fell off the track. I mean, am I right? You see it all the time. You're posting. And then, you say, hey, but I haven't heard from Jane. But I don't see her again, man.
It's true.
And we know that you have fallen off the track. So yes, your personal, internal support, your parents, your close friends, your family, very important. But I don't see social support coming from social media. And I think that is a misconception a lot of us have, that if we put it out there that social media will support us, and I don't agree. I don't agree. I think when you have a personal goal, you should keep it personal. You should keep it personal. You should share it with your internal group so they can see when you're falling off a little bit, and they can say, hey, Trudy, give you that little nudge. You know, I thought you said you were going to study tonight. You know, I don't see you studying anymore. What's up with that? So the internal support, yes, but I think a lot of us have a misconception
about support.
Of what support truly is. So having that mentor that we talked about is a great support. I've always had a mentor. My godmother, Frances Ann Francis, who's Frances Ann Satney now. She was used to be the manager of Royal Bank of Canada. She's always been an excellent mentor for me. So important. Having that person that you look up to, that has already been where you're trying to get to, and can be in your corner. But let's not mistake social media as support.
We're just about running out of time, but I know this is so deep, but I wanted to ask you in closing,
yes,
because it is something that many of our young people, and I think you hinted on it earlier on, I sort of always say when the frustration comes, boy, I want to leave that place, you know, boy, I want to leave that place, and most of them who do say so, they don't have a goal. They don't have a plan. They have a passport in their hand and maybe some dollars, and their goal is to go Antigua, go St. Martin, go wherever, and just land.
Yes.
You know, but is the grass always greener on the other side? And what have you seen living in a developed country, a first world country, and seeing maybe some of the challenges that maybe we don't see, because we look at movies and they never show that. You know, you never see homelessness until you go to the US and you see them on the highway with the billboard, with the cardboard in their hand. You know, I need milk for my daughter, that kind of a thing. Is the grass always greener? And how can we, if we do have to move, how do we prepare ourselves to be successful when we move?
Yes, great question, Carlton. Great question. And again, thank you for having me on. And the way I like to think about this is wherever you go, there you are. Wherever you go, there you are. So the person you are in Dominica, if you had no goals, no directions, no aspirations, when you get to America, who do you think you're going to be? You're suddenly going to have goals and aspirations? You're not.
I like that.
So wherever you go, there you are. Whoever you are in Dominica, start with your goals and your plans and your strategy in Dominica. So you're already in that mind frame, you're already in that mindset. So if you do get the opportunity to go overseas, you're the same person. Because many times going to a different location is not going to automatically change who you are. You may have more opportunities, but are you prepared to embrace those opportunities if you don't have the right mindset? So let us first work on developing that mindset that is goal-oriented, that is directional, that is giving us purpose in life, that is moving us towards a particular place, a particular opportunity, so that how do we define success? Opportunity meets preparation, right? Isn't that what we say to our young people all the time? When preparation meets opportunity, you have success. So if you don't prepare when you're in Dominica, when you get to the US, you're not prepared. So the opportunities are there, but you're not prepared. So is the grass always greener on the other side? It's only if the grass was green where you were, right? If you made the grass green where you are right now, when you get to the other side, you are certainly going to fertilize that grass to ensure that it becomes green. But if your grass is dry in Dominica, that means you have no plan, you're not preparing, you're not educating yourself, you don't have a strategy for how you're going to move your life forward. When you get to the other side, your grass is not going to be green because you haven't taught yourself the art of preparing for opportunities. So let us always, doesn't matter where we are, let us always be in the mindset of being prepared so that, boy, when that opportunity comes, whether it's in Dominica, overseas, or virtually online, we're prepared for that opportunity to become successful.
That's so true. Yes.
No, truly, I feel charged.
That's so true.
I feel really charged. I could still listen to this entirely.
And Dr. Simone and I just had a conversation with somebody yesterday, which is exactly what you're saying. The person was put into a situation where other people, complained about it, but they thrived. And it was just their mindset. It was just their preparedness. It was just their, their drive, their goals. So the grass was green because they made that grass green in that area, and other people, couldn't. Right. So it's that's a nice mindset.
Starts and ends with mindset.
With mindset, yes.
Well, Dominica, it is 11:32, and we're just about out of time now. But it was really a pleasure having, a life coach here this morning. I think it's really refreshing that the show took that perspective today. Those of you who listened, I do hope that you were inspired, that you were motivated, that you were edified, that the information that you heard can challenge you to make you a better person, to bring out the best out of you, to transform your life and recognize that opportunities are around us. And it's how we take, the opportunities to make something out of it. And you might be an excellent driver. You may have someone in the bank. You may have a lot of patience being a driver. Have you thought of opening a driving school? Right? So you have the patience. You're an excellent driver. You can actually open a driving school. Or you may be an excellent swimmer. Have you thought of having swimming classes? You swim all the time. You know the ropes of the sea or the river and all of that. Have you thought of saying, well, okay, this summer I'm going to have a swimming classes. I'll have 2 other coaches with me, so if a difficulty, you have your security, that type of thing, and you have a summer swimming class, So it's looking at opportunities, taking the skills, the knowledge base, the talents that you have, and how can you birth it to create business opportunities. And I think in a nutshell, Dr. Simone really capitalized on all of these aspects of the conversation. And so I do hope that, as I have always said, and we've always said, that Health Vibes is about wellness.
Yes.
It's collective aspects of health. and motivating you and motivating, even I was motivated today to really, plan better. Take notes, and it's important to take notes, and observe your thinking patterns. And we don't even talk about association and how association can sort of influence your goals and so forth, and what type of association do you need. But I think most of us have an idea about success. Basically, if you mingle with successful people, you learn from them, most likely you'll be influenced to be successful as well. Let me just give Dr. Simone just an opportunity to give some parting words as we close.
Yes, so again, Carlton, Trudy, thank you for having me on the program, and thank you to our listeners and our viewers on Facebook for being a part of the program. The callers who called in, thank you. And just in terms of parting words, I just want us every day that we wake up to just think to ourselves, what am I going to give my energy to today? Because there's so much going on in the world that we can be drawn into. There's so many conversations. There's so much negativity, I hate to say it, out there that we can be so easily drawn into and get distracted from those goals, right, that we're trying to pursue. So I think it's very important to say every morning that we wake up, I am only going to give energy to the positive. I am not going to let anyone take away from my energy, because I hate to say it, they're toxic people out there. And they're just looking for opportunities to pull you into their toxic world. So we have to have that barrier, that insulation to say, I'm not going to be a part of that. I have goals, I have aspirations, I know where I want my life to go. So rather than spending 20 minutes going back and forth on Facebook, with people who don't even know you. And I see it all the time. People drag you into their energy, and before you know it, the whole day you're seeing people going back and forth. And I'm like, in that time, what could you have achieved?
I know. True.
You could have read, a couple of pages of a good book, a good aspirational book, instead of going back and forth. So I want us to always think in terms of, what am I going to choose to give my energy to? Somebody cuts you off on the road. Are you going to start yelling and screaming? You're giving your energy to that person. So remain calm. Turn on the radio, right? Preserve your energy for what is important. So that is going to be my parting words, because our energy is finite. It's not infinite. We don't have endless energy. At the end of the day, we have a finite amount of energy. So every day it's important to remember what we're going to give that energy to. And just one other thing, I'm always looking to recruit Dominicans at home and abroad to be able to be a part of our resource base in terms of giving back to Dominica. So if anyone is interested who's listening, you can always send me an email at pushpast10@gmail.com, pushpast10@gmail.com. And I'm always happy when people reach out to me to say, I'm ready to make a contribution. Dominica has done so much for me. I'm ready to give back to the country of my birth. And for more information about everything I do, you can always visit pushpast10.com. So again, thank you. This has been wonderful, and I'm hoping that it's a conversation we can continue.
Yes, Dr. Simone, thank you so much for your powerful words and for sharing, so much with us this morning. I know it resonated with our listeners. I definitely know that. Thank you.
So from all of us here on Health Vibes, as usual, and we always say this to you, your health is indeed your greatest resource. Preserve it. Have a good week, everybody, and take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Who say health cannot have vibes? Well, Jolly's Pharmacy is proving you otherwise. With Health Vibes, every Wednesday morning on Q95 from 10 a.m. to 11:30. Health Vibes, education, information, and a bit of humor. And not forgetting lots of vibes. Hosted by Carlton Langdo with co-hosts Jacinta Fagan Defo and Trudy Kristen. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing health and vibes together every